On October 18, 2019, Johns Hopkins for Health Security partnered with Gates Foundation and World Economic Forum to simulate a coronavirus pandemic. The event was called Event 201. One of the influential parasite organized a series of 4 role-playing simulations of a coronavirus with very top-ranking participants. Videos of those meetings exist along with a best-of-video scenario and discussion by the participants. Those participants were members of a pandemic control council in that role play. And here are the supporters for this event. We will be seeing these parasites again directly or indirectly involved in technologies to control our lives and come up with solutions. The classic problem-reaction solution approach. On the 12th of April 2020, one of the parasites denied having done any simulations and practice. Here is a short clip.
Very few countries are going to get an A grade for what that scrambling looked like. And now here we are, we didn't simulate this, we didn't practice. So both the health policies and economic policies, we find ourselves in uncharted territory.
Apparently, this parasite is the professor and the countries are giving an exam. And, before I forget, India was one of the best performing according to the steps taken to begin destruction of the country. We will get to it later. It is just disgusting and shameful. Even after knowing what the parasite did to kids in India with his vaccinations. On March 18, 2020, the parasite wanted to promote his vaccination solution using a Reddit AMA. This is how it went. He began promoting his idea of vaccination and a digital certificate to prove who has received it. His idea was also to close down businesses. But obviously, the Amazons of the world could run. The people, however, caught on to his evil plans, and pointed out his plan of ID 2020 and implants. Glad to see so many responses against his idea. We will come to ID 2020 next. ID 2020 is like a umbrella program for the task of giving a digital ID. It is repackaged and sold as different programs in different countries. The diagram shows how each and every structure will be able to intercommunicate and some sort of a command center. Not much was known about this program that has been going on since 2016. The rest of the page goes on to say that the ones living off-grid, about 1 billion or so, will be brought under this program. So, the ID 2020 program is part of Agenda 2030, Sustainable Development Program Clause 16.9. According to this, by the year 2030 provide legal identity for all including free birth registrations. A digital ID for every single one. Do you want to take a wild guess? Who are the partners of this program? The same names, the Gates, Rockefellers and bunch of other like Accenture, etc. On September 20, 2019, even before the simulation exercise, there is documented news about idea to link ID 2020 with vaccines. Talk about the solution appearing before the problem, huh? What was the phrase the parasite used in that BBC breakfast interview? Uncharted territory. Right. This program will be undertaken by the Bangladesh government. Like I said previously, Idaho 2020 is being done in some form or the other throughout the world. The company, Trust Stamp, has partnered with MasterCard Wellness Pass, the payment service giant, and Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. I wonder what it will lead to eventually. Is it no vaccination, no payment services? Wellness Pass, sounds like some sort of COVID pass shoved down the throat of West Africa. The website of Trust Stamp has a lot of use cases for its use. Oh look, the selfie mode to authenticate biometrically. So, you see, all these behavior patterns like selfie pictures were engineered and inserted into our heads. The tentacles of the ID 2020 program are being covered by these companies. Some of the use cases listed are as you see in the screen. The ID for Africa program is like a certifying body for African countries for digital identity. They are trying to promote it with a cultural angle, bringing all the independent tribal people into the speech system. The same parasites keep coming again and again and again. Africa, which has been under the thumb of the West for so long, is now set to become a test ground for dystopian theme involving vaccine, cashless payment systems, and also involves law enforcement. You can form a picture yourself from all the countless movies you have been shown. Coming up, a short clip of Aaron Russo, who met with one Nick Rockefeller, and what he was told about one world government.
The ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one world government run by the banking industry, run by the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union, right? And they want to create a new currency called the Amero, right? And the whole agenda is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is giving me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And all money will be in your chips. And so instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to. If they say you owe us this much money in taxes, they just deduct it out of your chip digitally.
Total control.
Total control. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip, and you have nothing. You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
And that chip's connected to a database that has your purchasing records, what you do, what
everything,
you sell.
everything is in there, you know? And so they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people, and you become a slave, you become a serf to these people. That's their goal, that's their intention.
Now, let's talk about the World Bank Group and its role in the identity business. They have a program called ID4D, which stands for Identity for Development. This is like a group with globalist think tanks who decide how best to leverage the experience of various sectors to bring about changes to adapt to a dystopian future. This foundation is everywhere. The more research I do, the more I find that it has its hand on pretty much anything that supports a dystopia. One can find the names of various tech experts who are involved in the ID program in their own country, be it India's Aadhaar, Identity for Africa, or Pakistan's ID program called Nadra.
Advanced gadgets have been rolled out in the current timeline. Law enforcement in China has started using smart helmets which uses artificial intelligence, facial recognition, and equipped with glasses that have augmented reality and infrared camera to monitor temperature at a distance of up to 5 meters away. It also raises an alarm if it registers a temperature of above 37.3 degrees Celsius. It also has the capability to detect cars and interact with traffic for quick passage. The helmets can withstand extreme conditions and are clearly future-proof. A RoboCop in the making. This smart helmet has also been rolled out in Dubai. Cashierless stores have started appearing in some cities in the US. MasterCard has joined hands with Ansel Robotics to create more such stores. These stores, unlike Amazon Go, will be completely devoid of any human employee. Without a divine intervention, things seem to get worse. They would not have embarked on this holy journey of introducing disruptive robotic technology everywhere, if they cared for us, the useless eaters. How quickly they are thinking, proposing and finalizing techno-solutionism. I mean, just think about the timeline of events. This is just ludicrous. Here, on March 26, 2020, the World Economic Forum published a white paper on how to restrict movement by introducing the program called Known Traveler Digital Identity. This is an international project and we have so far seen similar stuff in local setting like e-pass etc. Only a verified citizen will be able to travel. Hitler will be impressed with the digitization of his paper-please project. It's very convenient and tempting, but that's how they plan to take away more of your God-given rights, in exchange for convenience. You register in a certified system, digital profile is created. Profile is sent to government or a recognized body who decides if you are eligible to travel. A trip pass is generated. Check-in prepared even before airport arrival. You are authenticated with biometrics before boarding. Digital profile is sent to destination country for customs. The trip pass tracks your every move, purchases done, etc. It won't be a long stretch if we say any deviation from your route or whatever purchases made may come under scrutiny and may even be penalized. Remember what Mr. Aaron Russell said previously. Predictive profiling will be used to decide if a citizen is eligible for travel. Reminds me of the movie, Minority Report. The project is based on surveillance by design. Alert is sent whenever someone crosses a border. The border could be anything, a hotel or a trip to the park, or even purchases made. At the Hedna conference, representatives of Accenture, one of the ID 2020 partners, along with Marriott, showcased how, based on KTDI data, they could find and blacklist an individual among a crowd with facial recognition, without the target even having to stop or look at the camera. All of this with a success rate of 99.2%. Partners of the program include government agencies like Interpol, DHS, and ICAO, which is a specialized agency of the UN, airline industries, Google, big hotel chains like Hilton, Marriott and Visa, the payment processing company. Face masks were and might still are being used to train facial recognition tool. The people who are posting their selfies or pictures in social media need to realize that all such data could be used by anyone, a predator, government agencies, hackers, etc. In this case, a bunch of researchers were searching for people with face masks and collected a huge lot to improve their facial recognition tool. This dataset comprising of 1,200 such photos were compiled as COVID-19 mask image dataset and pushed it to GitHub. A month earlier than that, researchers from China also compiled a huge pool with 5,600 masked photos. They justified this act by saying, the images collected from Instagram were not private and they were just searching and getting the right data. Now, with this data, they say that they have been able to properly label people with masks, on, or, off. An interesting patent was published on March 26, 2020. Point to note is the publication number of this patent. This falls under the PCT format of publishing numbers. Since 2004, the format is WO, then the year of publication, followed by a 6-digit serial number. The disturbing part is its serial number, 060606. According to this patent, a human being could be used during the mining process of a cryptocurrency system.
The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
Well, that's what came to my mind when I went through this patent. There is a sensor in a device worn by a user. The device communicates with a server and a cryptocurrency system. The sensor collects body activity data of the user. This data is received by the cryptocurrency system and it verifies if the body activity satisfies the conditions set by the cryptocurrency system. This concept of verifying data based upon certain condition is associated with nonce, a term used in cryptocurrency mining. Upon meeting the conditions, the user is awarded a cryptocurrency. In cryptocurrency language, the user has successfully mined a currency. The patent applicant is Microsoft Technology Licensing. This is a subsidiary of Microsoft Corporation and manages Microsoft's patent and tech transfer activities. The company Microchips Biotech develops implantable technologies among others. A single implant acts as a drug storage and delivery system, with a capacity to administer precise doses over a large period of up to several years. The company is actively funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It is estimated to receive $2.5 million in 2020, with a total estimate of about $20.4 million by the end of 2020. Here is a clip showing nanobot being used inside the body to guide sperm cells to reach the egg. This clip was from 2016. Imagine what can be done today. The movement of these nanobots can be controlled by a magnetic field and tests have already been done in lab to showcase their ability to deliver sperm to an egg precisely. Another clip from DARPA, showcasing the use of subcutaneous implants.
One of the technologies that I actively manage, a company called Profusa, which is aiming at achieving tissue-level continuous health monitoring. Through the SBIR program, we funded them to solve an incredible technical challenge that no one else had been previously able to solve. The key innovation that was presented to us is they said, why can't we make a chemical substance that's really identical to what's underneath the skin, what we call the subcutaneous tissue, so that your body doesn't recognize it as a foreign body response. It just incorporates itself into the tissue. And we have a lot of examples now where a sensor put right underneath the skin can sense things like oxygen and other chemicals that are very important to our metabolism. And not just sense that for a day or a week or even a month, but we imagine that sensing these parameters can go on for a period of years.
A few months back on May 2020, the UK government partnered with ST Enterprises to launch a digital health certificate called COVID Pass. One solution after another, so rapidly being developed. They shipped 50 million of this pass to 15 countries including India, South Africa, US, Mexico, UAE, Netherlands, Canada, Portugal, Sweden, Spain, France, Italy, and Panama. It is a mobile application, which gives you either a green or a red light to denote if a user is under the sorcery of COVID. It has an amber-colored countdown timer to indicate when you are due for the next test. So, this basically is a circular trap for the user. Undoubtedly this would generate lots of revenue for certified testing labs. A similar variation of this app is already being used in China. On December of 2019, Scientific American published a report which shed light into a technology that had been developed, which could embed vaccination records into the skin. This is the quantum dot tattoo developed by MIT engineers using a very long-lasting dye, about 5 years or so, that is delivered along with the vaccine. Quantum dots are tiny semiconducting crystals that reflect light. The vaccine is administered with a patch of microneedles that covers the tattoo like a band-aid. Essentially, it is a mark to identify who has been vaccinated. Not visible with the naked eye, but could be seen with a special cell phone filter when another application shines near-infrared light onto the skin. Now the more interesting part is, this work was requested directly by Bill Gates and was funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Masks have never ever been proven to work against COVID. The thing with making it mandatory to wear it and the compliance towards such an act tells us that we are just too stupid and spineless to think and act. Wearing mask even when you are all alone on the road? What sort of reasoning went into making it mandatory during online meeting? Also, the N95 masks have a warning that if a user wears it incorrectly, they may die. Currently we are being trained to see this as normal. No mask, no entry. Now, replace the mask with RFID tags, health pass, vaccination, sensor implants. This is not about health, just compliance. If this fear-based propaganda has cast a spell on you, just wear one of these. You will have a better peace of mind. Social distancing is classic divide and rule. Don't share feelings. Create distrust. Humiliate someone who is not following this nonsense. Conditioning us how to live in a world with fewer people. You know who else acts like this? Robots. Pointing a gun at someone's pineal gland region is whole another level of derogatory act. This is just sad to see these kids being conditioned at a tender age. On April 1, 2020, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was involved in a study to gauge the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine for post-exposure prophylaxis. Care to guess with whom this drug was pitted against? That's right, ascorbic acid was used as a placebo in this study. Why would you do that? University of Oxford's COVID-19 vaccine that has been licensed to AstraZeneca has been exempted from vaccine liability claims in most countries. They say, if anything happens to you within 4 years from receiving the vaccine, we don't give a duck. Think hard and long. 4 years. Don't worry, Indians, your lovable Serum Institute is producing this very vaccine. Wow, such craze for this vaccine. The mainstream media will never tell you about this. During recent times, many phrases like "we are all in this together," social distancing, new normal, spread fast throughout the world. We will be discussing the origin of this new normal. WHO says the sorcery is here to stay for at least 2 more years. Whole world and its working is being changed under this new normal. These are just 1% of its use case as you see on screen. So, as I had discussed earlier, last year in 2019, an Event 201 was organized to simulate coronavirus pandemic. Let's watch a short clip from that event that will help to better understand the phrase and the uprising of all kinds of rapid technocratic dystopian surveillance technology.
Greetings, distinguished guests, and thank you for this opportunity to say a few words at this year's Event 201, the high-level simulation exercise for pandemic preparedness and response, hosted by Johns Hopkins Centre for Health Security, the World Economic Forum, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Unfortunately, I was not able to join you today. I'm involved in the IHR Emergency Committee for Ebola, but I had hoped to be in the room with you. This is a new normal. I don't expect the frequency of these epidemics to reduce, and in fact, vulnerabilities all over the world, developed and developing countries, have increased, not decreased. The scenario you will be presented with this morning could easily become a shared reality one day. I fully expect that we will be confronted by a fast-moving, highly lethal pandemic of a respiratory pathogen. The question is, are we prepared to globally respond to the next major pandemic event? Are we ready to cooperate and perform across countries and across sectors to face such a threat? Do we collectively drive innovation enough to face the evolving global threats which we are anticipating? They spread fast. In 2009, the pandemic virus reached all continents in less than 9 weeks. Innovation and partnership across all sectors are needed, including joint strategies between global health leaders and the drivers of travel, communication, data technology industries. Constant innovation and the use of cutting-edge technology is key to pandemic preparedness. Despite this progress, there is still much to be done. Cross-sectoral simulation exercises, such as the one you will be experiencing today, contribute to a better understanding of the critical gaps, the cooperation required from global businesses, response decisions required from government and public health leaders to minimise large-scale economic and societal consequences of a severe pandemic. I wish you the best of luck, and we are looking forward to working with each of you to strengthen pandemic preparedness in the future. Thank you.
It began in healthy-looking pigs, months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spreads silently within herds.
Yale University sponsored a study on July 7, 2020, the aim of which was how best to coax people to take the COVID-19 vaccine, once it is available. They considered the possibility of various messaging tactics. Personal and economic freedom message: take the vaccine to preserve personal and economic freedom. Self-interest message: get vaccinated to protect yourself even if you are young and healthy. Community interest message: get vaccinated, otherwise you will just jeopardize your loved ones. So everyone must be vaccinated. Guilt, anger and embarrassment messages: imagine how guilty, angry and embarrassed you would feel if you don't take this vaccine and spread disease. Trust science message: if you don't get vaccinated, that means you ignore science. Not bravery message: if you don't take this vaccine, you are not brave. There are a few other messages, and these messages are distributed among participants of the study, and their response to the psychological messaging manipulation were recorded. In my opinion, they would ask the media and other SDG, NGO, infiltrated groups to spread the most effective messaging tactic throughout the world. World Bank has been loaning out large sums of money to countries with the condition that they impose extreme lockdown measures, to model their coronavirus response on that of Italy, and even changes in the economic policies. This was revealed by the president of Belarus. He refused the loan, saying it as unacceptable. But Indian government accepted it with open arms. Amongst all this, the centre has refused to pay GST compensation to the states. But they have massive plans for real developmental work, such as building of temples worth thousands of crores. On 15th of April 2020, WHO launched a COVID-19 surveillance project in India with Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, National Public Health Surveillance Project. On 11th 2020, Great Game India reported that Indian government would be launching mandatory health cards based on Bill Gates's concept. And rightly so. On 15th August, the Prime Minister announced the health card under the scheme One Nation One Health Card. While it has not been made mandatory yet, rest assured, it would definitely be in the coming future, just like how Aadhaar was not mandatory initially, but suddenly it was started to be linked to bank accounts and made mandatory for receiving salary or getting admitted to schools. One Nation One Tax, One Nation One Ration, and now, One Nation One Health. India scored high on globalists' rank for pandemic response because of surveillance tech, extreme and long lockdowns. On 22nd of August 2020, just days after the health card announcement, Union Health Minister Mr. Vardhan tweeted, keeping PMO India, that India is developing its own tattoo-based sensors that supposedly goes on top of the skin as a way to monitor health. But we know better than that. Another Bill Gates's idea being done. Currently, a copy-paste of ideas and technologies are happening in India, all while promoting a sense of nationalistic fervor and pride. We now know why Mr. Vardhan was chosen to be an executive board chairperson of WHO, an organization which is controlled tightly by Bill Gates.
Just days after, on 28th of August 2020, Kiran Majumdar came to provide the next tidbit of technology. Digital QR vaccination linked to Aadhaar card. Tweeted to Nandan Nilikani. We will discuss him in a few moments. This looks like a mix of ID 2020, CoviPass and KTDI. We have already seen what they are. Each player acting out their part in helping to form thought pattern, which seems to be a seemingly natural progression of techno-solutionism in the minds of common people. Now about Mr. Nandan. Where do we start? He can be seen as a heavyweight responsible for Digital India and what seems to be a coming dystopia in India. If you want couch potato convenience in exchange for freedom, his ideas are perfect for you. Now this creature wants to vaccinate entire India using his Aadhaar model. On 26th of August 2020, he said, a massive vaccination plan needs to be created to cover 3 to 5 million people every day. Look at his plan to vaccinate 1 billion people. His plan is exactly identical to the COVID Pass health certificate. He is just reiterating what Bill Gates said in a Reddit AMA to vaccinate the whole world and use vaccination certificates or quantum dot tattoo as proof. A few days later, on 4th of September 2020, he said India will have to vaccinate 5 to 10 million people every day. He wants to see double the harshness shown by the government, to keep pushing the behavioral changes like masks, sanitizing, 6 feet, etc., continue testing, with contact tracing, quarantine, and finally he says we must ensure that everybody gets a digital certificate with the date of vaccination, name of the vaccine and through which vendor and at what location.
World's largest vaccine manufacturer by volume, Serum Institute of India has partnered with Gavi and Bill Gates' foundation to speed up COVID-19 vaccine manufacture process. Currently, they are manufacturing the AstraZeneca vaccine and hope to launch it by the name of Covishield by the end of 2020. Remember that AstraZeneca has been exempted of any kind of vaccine injury for 4 years. They also hope to create their own vaccine by the end of 2021. Now, the owner of this vaccine manufacturer, Cyrus Poonawala, and Bill Gates go a long way back. Bill Gates has dedicated a blog in his blog post, Gates Notes. On 17th of November 2019, Mr. Cyrus was awarded with ICMR Lifetime Achievement Medal by Bill Gates. Making business out of vaccines, Mr. Cyrus has become the 4th richest person in India and 100th in the world with a net worth of $13 billion.
Dr. Fauci, do protests increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together, particularly when you're not wearing a mask, contributes to the spread of the virus.
Should we limit the protesting?
I'm not sure what you mean, should protesting.
Should government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to...
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus. I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Well, you make all kinds of recommendations. You've advocated for certain businesses to be shut down. I'm just asking you on your position on the protest. I haven't seen one hairstylist who, between haircuts, goes out and attacks police or sets something on fire. And we know the protest actually increased the spread of the virus. You've said that.
I said crowds. I didn't say specifically. I didn't say protests do anything.
So the protests don't increase the spread of the virus?
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
No, I just want an answer to the question. Do the protests increase the spread of the virus?
I don't have any scientific evidence that anything. I can tell you that crowds are known, particularly when you don't have a mask.
You don't have a position on whether the protests increase the spread of the virus or don't increase the spread of the virus?
I'm saying that crowds, wherever the crowds are, can give you an increased probability that there's going to be acquisition and transmission.
But protesting, particularly according to the Democrats, is just fine, but you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't go to church. There's limits placed on all three of those fundamental activities, First Amendment activities, but protesting is just fine.
You know, the gentleman's time has expired.
An advisor to the ID 2020 project has resigned, citing that she has no clue what the program's actual mission is all about. She alleged that the organization is not transparent, is at risk of undue corporate influence, and prone to techno-solutionism. She suggests that it is focused on promoting decentralized identity solutions at all costs. Her position has been filled up by an official from Microsoft. More than 500 German doctors and scientists have officially formed an organization to investigate the global response to COVID-19 called the Corona Extra-Parliamentary Inquiry Committee. Finally, those researchers, epidemiologists, doctors whose voice had been ignored and labeled as conspiracy theorists by the propaganda news network, will get voice. Keep fighting nonsense with authentic science. In the initial days of the pandemic, a lot of petitions were made against Bill Gates and his foundation on the platform change.org. All such petitions were taken down. A visit to such pages gives me this. Here is one. Petition not found. It turns out, Bill Gates invests heavily in change.org. He is a decision maker in that platform too. In fact, this platform as a startup itself was funded by many including Bill Gates. There exists one petition against this creature on petitions.whitehouse.gov. An Italian parliament member and lawmaker, Sara Cuneo, has called for Bill Gates' arrest for his crimes against humanity.
Noi fuori con I cittadini moltiplicheremo I fuochi di resistenza in modo tale che vi sia impossibile reprimerci tutti. Dio un consiglio al nostro Presidente Conte. Caro Presidente Conte, la prossima volta che riceve una telefonata dal filantropo Bill Gates, la inoltri direttamente alla Corte Penale Internazionale per I crimini contro l'umanità. Diversamente ci dica come dovremmo definire l'amico avvocato che prende ordini da un criminale. Grazie.
The unrest and pushback has started already, some back in May, June. Protests are still happening, but the media doesn't broadcast them widely. If everyone knew, then the whole world would be in uprising against this tyranny and puppet governments. There has been anti-COVID-19 protests in Australia, New Zealand, Netherlands, Germany, Dublin, Israel, Canada and USA to name a few. Some countries have been too late to realize this and already become full-fledged police states. Act before your country becomes a police state too. It would take just 30% of India to stop the tyranny. Wake up India. Enough is enough. Don't sacrifice an inch of freedom anymore for the sake of convenience.